right, get that one going there. That one's going there. We're gonna get this one getting ready to go here. What's up? Welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Getting ready. Get ready here. Got the little Coke for the caffeine and the water it down. So I don't got too much caffeine building in the system, by itself. Put some water in there so you don't get those kidney stones. You gotta watch out for those kidney stones. All right, we're gonna go. We're gonna do this right now. Hello. What up, everybody? Welcome to Millennial Nation Worldwide. Thanks for tuning in. I am the OG Millennial, and you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at O_G_Millennial. But right now, I want you guys to go on ahead and like, share, subscribe, Millennial Nation Worldwide on the same places, Instagram and Facebook, and more importantly, YouTube. We're going to take over YouTube Nation soon. Real quick, what we're going to talk about in this particular show on this Friday to close out the week, we're going to talk about Scrubs, right? I finally watched an episode of Scrubs, and we're going to talk about some gas prices in Los Angeles. We're going to talk briefly about the AEW Dynamite versus WWE Raw this week. We're going to put them together and see who won this week. It should be very interesting. We'll save that for the end. Because right now I want to get into something special. I want to get into, first of all, I just got to say, for it being Friday, like, you guys who do this shit full time, man, you full-time podcasters out there who are dedicating 24 hours, or not 24 hours, you know what I'm saying, though, 5 days a week to this internet lifestyle and putting out content and editing content and all this stuff, man, I give you guys all the credit in the world, man. This stuff is tiresome sometimes, right? I'm only doing this once or twice a week, and yet sometimes I find myself like, oh man, I gotta do this, right? But there's some fun in doing this. I like to have some fun, and we're gonna start off with some fun with some Scrubs, man. I finally watched Scrubs. Scrubs is okay. It wasn't super great when I was growing up in the 90s and 2000s, primarily 2000s, I believe, and it's not that great now. I was watching this episode and I just wasn't super entertained by it. It wasn't something that really, like, I don't know. It never really drug me in as a super fan, right? I understand why I wasn't a super fan back then. It's because you're trying to make comedy and good-heartedness in a hospital setting and scenario. And I'm not all about that, right? Like, if you're going to do something fun and whimsical, maybe like a hospital isn't the best backdrop for it, right? It's like trying to have a comedy in a cemetery, right? How can you really make fun of these people who are dying or something, right? Like, it's weird to me, but the cast itself, man, they're looking pretty good for their age. I gotta say, I'm assuming they're all in their 50s, right? I was watching them as a teenager, so I'm pretty sure they were in their late 20s. I'm not 100, I don't want to call them out, but they're looking pretty good for their age, especially the VR Trooper chick. Like, that lady is still very good looking. Sarah Chalk, right? They have aged, though, and it's just a dreadful reminder to myself of how I'm aging, right? Like, my face hasn't gone through crazy changes like there has over the years, though. But damn, my cat's going crazy over there. Calm down, kitty. But anyways, that's Scrubs for you, man. I don't think I'm gonna watch more than the episode that I watched. Like, the satire just isn't there for me. And as much as I know the cast was great back then and had a huge following, it'll be interesting to see how they end up at the end of the year and see if they end up getting any awards, right? I don't think I've ever seen them as number one on Hulu yet, though, right? Like, I think they have the ratings. I'm going to check the ratings again. I'm pretty sure they weren't number one, but if you are a fan, check them out. They're on Hulu, and they need support, right? If you want to bring back the whole entire Scrubs franchise, you can do that. You just got to watch, and participate. Come here, kitty. Why are you going crazy? Stop it. Anyways, stupid cats. I love that cat, though. Yeah, like I was saying, Scrubs, if you're a Scrub fan, check them out. I'm sure you'll probably still get a laugh. It's just not for me. And then if I were to look at other stuff happening in the world outside of, like, entertainment, gas prices, right? I'm living in California. Los Angeles, California, no less. And normally, when you're able to find cheap gas prices here in California, it's still like around 420, 410. Sometimes you were able to find gas prices around the 399 area, if you were in the right location. Um, but they have gone up. It has gone up to a 499 average. And I actually have started doing some research on the internet and did some Google searching. And AI went to a whole bunch of different sites for me, 19 different sites to be exact, because I wanted to make sure that I had some accurate information that I'm about to drop, right? So here you go. Here's some accurate information about Los Angeles, California, and our gas crisis that we're having right now, right? We have shut down in the last 2 years two refineries here in Los Angeles. One of them was Phillips 66, which is the refinery that was out there in Wilmington and Carson. That one was set to close in October 2024, and they actually did close all operations in 2025. And the second refinery that has left California is Valero. And they are the most recent ones to have left. They have left this month, or not this month, but this year. And the gas prices with that alone have been what's kept us at the $5 marker, $4 marker, while gas prices in the rest of America seems to be like around the $3 marker, right? Like with the craziness that's happening overseas though right now, that's causing a lot of trouble with our gasoline as well, because we get a lot of our gas shipped from overseas, primarily Iraq. And I ran some numbers on that too. I got some good information on all that stuff as well. And so now I'm paying like legit. All gas stations that I see are minimum 490, 499. There have been some places like today I was driving through the Brentwood area. Gas prices over there are at the 650 mark. When I was in Hancock Park, over there it's by the Hollywood Bowl area. Over there it's around $7.50. Right? So if you're lucky, you could find gas right now in Los Angeles County for about $5 a gallon. And I don't know if that's uh, something that can continue to happen here. People are already having a hard time making rent with the continued increases in property taxes and rental taxes and whatnot. So with those two that have gone, it's taken 17% of our total refining capacity, right? Is gone and left California. We lost 17% of our fuel, mostly due to regulations. These places are closing and leaving California to go to places that have cheaper tax rates and less regulations. And everybody knows that with the green push that California has been implementing with the electricity and all the electrical cars and whatnot, it makes sense that they're trying to push gas prices as high as they can to make people not want to buy gas powered vehicles. And it's a smart tactic, especially if they're able to put some deals out there for electric. But even with most electric cars, they still require gasoline, right? They're hybrids. Um, I wouldn't put all my trust in just electric, at least not yet, right? Like, and if you're going to think about California itself, we have some of the toughest electrical grids in the whole country, right? Like, we have millions of people that are here, and we're powering electricity, all of them, houses, businesses, and now vehicles, right? So we're spending all of this electricity and money on electricity to turn everything into electricity and take away from gasoline. Now my electricity bill is $60, right? I'm paying $60 to Edison a month. I live by myself. I have 1 to 2 lights on. If I took account of all of my electricity, it's equivalent to leaving 3 lights on for 24 hours a day, right? Like, I'm not using a lot of electricity here, but I'm still paying like $60 a month, which is stupid. I've never thought that in 20 years ago, electrical prices was $20, right? If you paid more than $20 for electricity, you was wasting a lot of electricity, right? Now minimum $60, right? And it doesn't seem like they're gonna stop raising the prices on this stuff either, right? Uh, each year it's gonna, I bet, continue to go up a little bit more and a little bit more, and I'm not sure why, but I do know that unfortunately, since we are losing out on such an opportunity to create our own gas, these regulations pushing businesses away from California, like Valero and Phillips 66, these refineries leaving, we got to get a lot of our stuff from overseas. So I went online and I searched, where are we getting our gasoline from, right? And I was thinking it was going to be other places in America. But that wasn't the number one. The number one that came up was 60 to 64% of our crude oil comes from overseas. And it's not just Iraq. I did mention Iraq earlier, but it's also Brazil, Ghana, and Ecuador, right? So those are our four major oil hubs where California is receiving the most of our gasoline, right? Iraq is being affected because all of the gasoline that comes from Iran and Iraq come down a little straight. It's I forget the name of it, but it's like a canal and it lets out into the Black Sea, I believe, right? And it's very hostile territory right there. So once Iran starts tripping, they start tripping with the gas. They try and close up that little canal there. And then Donald Trump doing all this crazy stuff with South America. Apparently, we get a lot of stuff from Brazil, so it makes sense that Brazil is trying to tag along. But I had no idea that we were getting gasoline from Ghana. Like I had no idea that we were getting our gasoline from Ecuador. I thought Ecuador was a pretty poor country, right? Considering the surrounding countries in South and Central America. I didn't know Ecuador to have a big economy, right? In refineries. So 23% of our gasoline actually comes from California and is made still in California, which is crazy considering how much oil we're sitting on. But all of it is mostly coming from Kern County. In Kern County, if anybody who was following the elections was looking at the map, in California had that big red section, that's like the Kern County area. That's the more rural. But man, you guys don't know what I'm saying. It's more country over there, right? So you got more farmland. You got more people who have like reliancy on farming and gasoline and whatnot. And so, these things are what's causing California to flip more from a blue state to a red state. And it's mostly because of regulations. California keeps on putting crazy regulations on these corporations in the name of environmental health, while at the same time not really, protecting the environment, because we got fires that happen every year that put off just as much CO2 emissions as cars do. So, once we're able to start figuring out how we could stop these fires from happening every year, I'll have more faith in us being able to put our trust in our gas refineries and our electrical grids here in California, right? And it might just be my millennial opinion, it might just be me as a millennial, but as a 42-year-old OG millennial, let me tell you, younger millennials, this shit ain't right. And if you're an older person like one of them Gen X's, this shit ain't right, man. We wasn't paying this back in the 90s. If you're a Gen Z or whatever you are, Gen Y, Gen Z, Gen Zs, y'all just get used to it, man. Get electric. Don't even get a gasoline car, man. Just get electric. If you're in California, just get electric, man. No more old school caddies, no more lowriders. No more of those good metal cars. They're gone. Get yourself a nice fiberglass electric vehicle and you'll be straight in California. As long as they don't have a brownout and they shut off the electricity to your house. They do that a lot, here in California. Those brownouts, rolling blackouts. They're going to be coming back around because we got fire season happening, right? As if fire is a natural disaster. Fire is not a natural disaster, guys, all right? I just want you to know right now that fire is not a natural disaster. But here in Los Angeles County, we have to prepare for fire as if it's a yearly natural disaster. It is crazy here, man. It blows my mind, right? So, once we're able to get all that stuff cleared out, if we ever get any of that dead stuff that's been up there and already burned cleared out, we should be able to have more control over, the economic health of our world, right? Like if California wants to be all about the green piece, you know what I'm saying? Let's stop setting off millions and millions of however much it is in fumes of those terrible CO2 emissions into our atmosphere, right? Choking out surrounding cities and people can't breathe. Fires in Brentwood. I live 20 miles away and I got ash on my car. How does that happen? It's crazy. Anyways, now I guess, we could move on from this crazy world shit, we just got to talk about some real life stuff every now and then, because I'm about to jump into this wrestling stuff, and sometimes this wrestling stuff seems to be all make believe, man, right? So we had WWE Raw this week. We had AEW Dynamite this week, and I did a review for both of them. We're going to put them against each other and see who did better. I did better this week at taking notes, so I could actually talk about the shows and give you a picture. I'm going to start off with Raw, right? So pretty much the way Monday Night Raw started off this week, started off with a lot of talking. Paul Heyman came out, had his guys with him, Division, Logan Paul, Austin Theory. It's a pretty good promo. Crazy stuff started happening where people with masks and the whole mask gimmick started like popping up in different parts of the arena and coming towards the ring. Caused a distraction, caused the Vision members to chase the people with the masks all around the stadium and the ring, and left Paul Heyman alone in the ring. All of a sudden, another guy jumps up on the back of the... comes in with a chair. A guy jumps up on the back of the ring, comes in through the ropes with a chair, cracks Paul Heyman in the back with a chair, man. It was pretty interesting to see poor Paul Heyman take a chair shot. But it was even worse to see him take that stomp where he got his head stomped, He got up, he was bleeding from his facial area. It looked like his nose. I don't know if he really got injured like that or not, but poor guy, man. Poor Paul Heyman, If that was a real accident that happened, way to take it like a soldier, Paul Heyman. You took that chair shot and that stomp, man. So it was like 30, 40 minutes, and then it got to like the first match. It was Gunther and Dragon Lee, right? It was a decent match for a big guy and a small guy. I was noticing Gunther, it looks like he's starting to get a little chunky again, right? He's starting to get a little roll. He's starting to get that little fat back, it looks like. He's still in good shape. I'm just saying, it looked like he's starting to get a little flabby there. He might want to do a little bit of running. But besides that, a bunch of power bombs, right? Choked him out, ripped his mask off. Terrible. You never rip off a luchador's mask. That's like their most sacred thing. And that almost became a theme of the show, right? Because they go into a second match, and this was like a lucha match, but it didn't have a single Hispanic in it, right? You had an white American luchador versus a couple English luchadors, right, from England, right? And it was an interesting match, considering they're trying to build to something. I understand the build with American Grande Original, and then the extra spicy, I guess is what you could call the other one, the Grande Loco Extra Spicy. Right, so that was that match. But yeah, they ripped off Dragon Lee's mask. That wasn't cool, that should set something up with the luchadors. And then there was a lot more talking, right? Bailey talked, podcasters came on, they talked, Obafemi came out and talk shit with Rusev, and then they kind of squabbled for a little bit. That was pretty cool. Jimmy Uso came out, fought against Austin Theory, right? And then Logan Paul got involved. And then Jey Uso came down with some crutches, jumped in with the crutches. Bam. I don't know if he's still hurt or not, but it was cool to see, right? It's cool to see the Usos together. It's always cool to see the Usos together. That one ended with, I don't even remember who won that one. It doesn't matter because Danhausen is next, right? Danhausen came on a little backstage, had his little time with the Judgment Day, right? Went around cursing people, cursed Dom. Oh, Dom turned around and lost the belt, man. Oh, he gave him that jar of teeth. He should have never took that jar of teeth, man. I want to know how much they're going to sell those jars of teeth on the shop, right? So, but ultimately more talking. Then Rhea and Io did some more talking, and that led to the match between Penta and Dirty Dom, right? And in my personal opinion, I feel like the match between Penta and Dirty Dom for the Intercontinental title should have been the main event, right? Instead, they gave the main event to some promos, which is understandable considering the two people who were talking, but personally, I think Penta and Dirty Dom should have got the main event, especially considering that it was for the belt. But Penta won that one, man. There was some mild outside interference without outside interference with JD McDonough and Finn Balor being out there, right? JD tried to bring him the hammer to help Dirty Dom. Finn Balor got up, stopped him from giving him, said he had to do it like a man, right? So he stopped JD McDonough from giving Dirty Dom the hammer so he could cheat. Then Pinto wins, right? Fireworks go off. It was really cool. And then that led to the promo, right? The CM Punk versus Roman Reigns promo, which was fire. Like anybody who hasn't seen it, go and watch the highlights. It was really good. The way that Roman Reigns has been interacting on the mic over the last year, compared to like 3 years ago, man, 100% improvement, man. I'm really liking what I'm hearing. Like I believe him. I believe everything that he's saying 100%. And CM Punk can match that energy and take it to the next level. And it was a fire promo, man. Roman Reigns, he dropped a bunch of truth bombs, man. Like I acknowledge my tribal chief, man. He was dropping all truth bombs. He gave no spoilers, all prediction, right? Whatever Paul Heyman says, right? It's a prediction, not a spoiler or whatever. Anyways, but it ended with CM Punk saying some crazy stuff, right? Like CM Punk called out Roman Reigns' dad, said he was gonna put Roman Reigns in the ground next to his dead daddy, and I don't care what race you're from. They're all, the big talk is like, oh, you shouldn't have said that about a Samoan, right? The Samoans are gonna get you, and yeah, the Samoans are gonna get you for that. But I mean, it ain't just the Samoan thing, man. You talk about anybody's dead daddy, you should have been punched, pow, right in the face on the spot, right? The fact that he didn't get punched in the face, I give Roman Reigns all the credit in the world, right? Like, to be able to take that type of disrespect, like, I understand he was disrespecting CM Punk, but he made it all about him. He didn't drop anything about his parents or his wife or his animals or anything like that. But, and that's why I think CM Punk lost this promo. Everybody's saying that CM Punk came back, it's 1-1. Nah, when you got to bring in somebody's parents to defend or to give your next insult, you have lost the battle, right? It's like, I got you, you got me, I got you. Now you got to bring my mama into it. You can bring my mom into it and say whatever you want. At that point, I already won, I made you resort to no longer insulting me, but having to insult someone else, right? So in my book, Roman Reigns 2-0, man. He killed them last week, came back and killed him again, made him go so crazy. He disrespected a Samoan man's father in a company where there are 12 Samoans. I'm just saying, bro, CM Punk, you better go get you every single one of them AEW people who came over, bring them up from NXT, build you a crew like you did with the Nexus, right? That's what's happening here. We're going to see CM Punk take everybody from AEW and start an army. And if CM Punk doesn't do it, then Cody Rhodes needs to do it. Somebody needs to do it. I don't care who does it. Somebody needs to do it. Speaking of AEW, though, let's move on to the AEW, because that was their main event, right? A promo is the Monday Night Raw's main event, as usual. Now, AEW, on the other hand, is nothing but high-paced action, right? There are couple little segments where there's talking, and I mean there's a lot of talking here too, but for every talking segment there's a wrestling segment, right? So it's a lot of wrestling on this show that they pack within 2 to 3 hours, depending on what they're doing. But I liked the overarching feel of the show, right? Like the way they opened, it was strong. They had that strong middle card with John Moxley and Hechicero, I think is his name, right? The alchemist guy. He'd be doing this. And then I thought the close was good. Not the main event that they chose, but Tekla versus Thunder Rosa, right? I like that match, right? I don't think it was as good as like some of their other ladies matches. Like I think Willow Nightingale could probably put on a better match, and Toni Storm could probably put on a better match. But for these two ladies, right, they did a good job, right? Tekla did a great job in making herself stand out. Yeah, that's the best way I could say it. Like she's making herself stand out away from the rest of the pack more than any other wrestler I've seen do lately with her gimmick, right? Like she's totally like, I like Tekla because she's totally giving off this like persona of punk rock, but it doesn't seem like it's a gimmick. Like it seems like she like, and I heard her talking on she was on a Chris Jericho's podcast recently, and I heard her talking, and she is from that life, right? Like she grew up like doing punk, heavy metal, rock band stuff, right? Like growing up, so that attitude that she gives off that is real. Like that's really her, and I see why they gave her the belt. I think she deserves the belt. And that match she put on with Thunder Rosa was pretty good. The only difference between the two is Thunder Rosa was obviously older, and I know that gives her like ring experience and whatnot. But like looking at her move, looking at Thunder Rosa move around in the ring, she's moving around like an older lady now. You know, like an older person. So you can definitely see that Tekla was more athletic than she was, more strong and dominant, and she won. She took it home. But they started off the match with MJF and Kevin Knight, and that was fire. You know, I like Kevin Knight and I like MJF. The thing that surprised me the most though about the MJF Kevin Knight opener was the fact that I heard the fans booing Kevin Knight, who was supposed to be the good guy, and I heard a lot of people cheering MJF, who was supposed to be the bad guy. Right, so you got Maxwell Jacob Freeman. He comes out. People cheer a little bit, but they boo him mostly. And then through the match, he does jerky ass stuff that makes people boo him more. But you hardly ever hear the crowd booing the person who was supposed to be the good guy, which is what shocked me so much was the fact that, you know, this guy, Kevin Knight, a guy, strong guy, athletic guy, young guy, new guy, right, who normally gets support, was not getting as much support as he normally does, right? Like I distinctly heard people booing Kevin Knight and on the flip side, cheering MJF during certain segments of the match, which was, it's not supposed to be like that, I think. You know, I think it's supposed to be the other way around, kind of, right? So they went from there to, it was a long opener, right? But they went from there to Darby and Orange versus the English guys, the Dogs, right? And I got Gabe Kid. He really thinks he's a dog, man. Like he coming down to the ring like a dog, walking around like a dog. I'm surprised he doesn't bark more, you know. But they lost, right? I think they lost that match, and but it was a setup, right? So that David Finlay, I guess, could come and make a debut. Was a guy who was a New Japan Pro wrestler, right? He's Fit Finlay's son, right? Like I've heard of him, like a lot of people have, but I like a lot of people have never seen him in person. So I was kind of shocked to see that he didn't get like a lot of excitement for his introduction and debut, but maybe it was because it was a surprise, right? And a lot of people like me weren't familiar with who he was when he got out there and did what it was that he did. Um, but you know, they did some talking in the backstage with Andrade and Bandito, and that was pretty cool. Andrade kind of dissed him a little bit subtly, but you know, that two guys are gonna fight just standing next to each other, being cool. That's different. The tag team Inspiration came in to fight against the Brawling Birds. That was a quick match. The Inspiration, formerly the Iconics, uh, did some crazy dancing. I guess they're all about dancing now. And they're completely different from what I originally know them for in NXT and WWE. Besides just the hair, their whole entire thing now is just different, and I didn't really care for it. I like the English girls, right? The Brawling Birds. They're cool. I believe them to be like the APA, right? This they're going out getting beers, right? They're going to start their own protection agency soon, right? I would love to see that. That'd be cool. And then who else do we got? What else do we got? We got what else do we got? We got Adam Page. Was that next? Yeah, we got the Adam Page went out there and fought a job guy. That was another quick match. But you know, it was a setup for him to start talking trash about MJF, and MJF came out and defended himself. The crowd got into it, you know, and it was pretty cool. Uh, then some people came in and from the back, from the Don Callis family, and jumped Adam Page, right? And then Adam Page's boys, the Jet Speed guys, came out to help him out, right? Even though Kevin Knight had just kind of got his ass kicked earlier by MJF, you know, came back out to try and save his friend, which is cool. You know, you don't see that too often. But they all got beat up by the Don Callis family, and then well, I guess that happened later. Yeah, that happened later. But people really hate Don Callis, man. Like They cheered for his announcement though of the fight at the end of the night though. Like it's kind of funny. You hear these people booing Don Callis loudly, and then he's like, "Well, we're gonna have a match at the end of the night between these guys," and everybody's like, "Yeah." Fickle, fickle people. All right, so we got FTR versus the Young Bucks in a taped promo. They were going back and forth, and they punched a dude in the face as they were leaving, Brandon Cutler or something like that, right? Because the Young Bucks can't touch the FTR and vice versa until the pay-per-view or whatever. So 6-7, 6-7, man. I'm not excited for this one. But I hope FTR wins in the end, man. I'd love to see FTR with Tommaso Ciampa. They kind of teased that a little bit. Moxley fought against Hechicero. I thought this was a good match. I definitely heard the fans when John Moxley was going against Hechicero. They were cheering loudly for both of these guys, right? Which is kind of weird considering one was a good guy that's kind of a bad guy and the other one was a bad guy. But because of where they were at in Texas, they were in El Paso, Texas. I believe that's probably why Hechicero was getting such a strong crowd reaction. You know, he probably had a bunch of the Latino supporters out there supporting the Luchadors, right? They got strong fan base there in southern Texas area. And it was Moxley, though, who came out with the win, you know. It was a medium match. It wasn't like long, but it had its, you know, ups and downs. I like seeing the two go back and forth, but when you keep going back and forth on just brawling stuff, I kind of start to lose interest. I like to see back and forth more with the chain wrestling, you know, and I'm not talking about like you do a go around and then I do a go around and then you do a go around and back and forth and back and forth. I'm talking about like you do a head scissors and then I nip out of the head scissors into a like a hip toss, right? Hip toss, leg scissors, kip out, like running, that type of chain wrestling, right? Like that's the type of shit I like to see. And I know that both of these guys are capable of that. One more than the other. Like Hechicero definitely is way more physically active than John Moxley. Like it looked like John Moxley was kind of getting out wrestled there a little bit, right? And Moxley is the main reason why I even watched this show. So it kind of hurts to say that, but eventually he wins. And then the guy Take, right, Takeshita came out and pointed at the sign and at John Moxley, and they kind of had their back and forth or whatever. Swerve and Brody King was next, right? Swerve jumped Brody King from behind with a chain after Swerve's manager, Prince Nana, was distracting Brody King. He was kind of up on the stage. The manager was up on the stage. Brody King was in the ring. Manager's talking trash to the guy in the ring. Swerve comes from behind, cracked him with a chain, right? Like a logging chain. Put it around his neck, hung him up on the ropes, right? Tried to choke him out. It did choke him out. He was choking him. There were a couple times when I was looking at the color of Brody King's face, and he was turning legit red, you know, a couple times. But when he let him go, it wasn't purple, you know. And then it went from there into the Thunder Rosa versus Tekla match. And yeah, like I was saying earlier, man, it was a dynamic match. I wish that would have been the main event. I thought they performed better than the main event. And Tekla pulled it out. She beat Thunder Rosa. It wasn't Thunder Rosa's hometown, but she's a Texas girl, right? So kind of like in her backyard, which was sad. Because I like Thunder Rosa. I like listening to her talk too when she's on Busted Open. And I guess a new show. I heard her on Busted Open saying she's on a new show with Coach. I think Coachman, the dude who used to talk on the WWE, right? Something Coachman, some shit like that. I don't know. The Toxic Era, baby, though, man. What a great line, man. Tekla dropped that Toxic Era line. I was like, damn. Mandy Rose wasn't close to being this type of toxic, right? Like, this is the legit toxic. But, you know, AEW had their main event. I wasn't super impressed, but it was okay, you know. Actually, I guess before that, what did they have? They had the Jungle Boy and Ricochet promo, right? Yep, some talking there. Tommaso Ciampa had his interaction with FTR, you know, some talking there. But I would have loved to see that. Like, if Tommaso Ciampa joined FTR and they were really in pursuit of being the top guys, I could legit buy that as they are the top guys, right? Main event was Adam Page and Jet Speed versus the Callis family. And, they had man, there's so many of them, man. They had Kyle Fletcher, right? He's their superstar. They had the other guy, Mark Davis, with the busted up hand, and someone else. I don't know. The weed is blowing it right now. I can't think of it. But I remember the match, and I remember the match kind of being long and going all over the place. I was shocked once again to see Kevin Knight out there performing in a match, considering he had just got his ass kicked earlier in the night by MJF, right? Poor guy. He's definitely putting in that work. And if you're giving out bonuses, Tony Khan, Kevin Knight deserves a bonus, man. He worked 3 times, right? So pay the man. It ended, though. It ended with it didn't even end in like a disqualification or anything. Like the way that AEW Dynamite's main event ended was in a straight up pin, right? Like someone straight up got pinned. MJF came out and swiped the leg of Adam Page to cause the distraction. And that's exactly what it did. It caused the distraction. And I think it was Kevin Knight who got pinned again, right? Like, I don't remember who pinned him, but I remember at the end of the night, it was Kyle Fletcher and his team that was holding up those belts, right? Like, it looked good on those guys. It looked like a believable team, compared to the 3 people that they just fought. It's like, yeah, they should have won. Kyle Fletcher, man, that's a lot of pink, bro. I don't know if that was a tiara he was wearing when he was coming down. I never seen a dude wearing a tiara before coming to the ring to fight. I don't even think like Gorgeous George or those guys, did they ever wear like a tiara, right? Those little crowns. Maybe I'm mistaken. It looked like a tiara, though. It looked like a tiara to me, right? Either way it goes, that was your main event. We got new triples champions, trios champions, whatever it's called. So what I did here, I took the matches from tonight or from this week, put them against each other. What I got pretty much to start off with the I heard moment for WWE, I heard the crowd the loudest when CM Punk disrespected Roman Reigns' dad. When he said that Roman Reigns is going to be put in the ground right next to his father, the crowd went crazy. On the flip side, the thing I heard the most that was most shocking for AEW was the crowd booing Kevin Knight and actually cheering for MJF, right? Like that was, like I heard them distinctly booing against Kevin Knight and cheering against MJF, right? So the bullshit moment for WWE, I felt was Penta and Dirty Dom. I thought that they should have been the main event. Same thing with AEW. I felt like Tekla and Thunder Rosa should have been the main event. I thought that was their BS moment. The redemption moment for AEW, what drew me back was the Jon Moxley match against Hechicero. Like that brought me in through all the little in-between matches. For WWE, I would probably say it was the Dirty Dom match, right? When they had that Intercontinental match, I was like, all right, yeah, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for, even though they fought each other so many times, I was just like, man, this is the time, right? Danhausen did that curse. This is the time that Dirty Dom is actually going to lose that belt, right? Thanks to, unfortunately, but fortunately, Danhausen, right? Is that how he does the thing? Is it? I don't know. He's making his presence known, right? Yeah, it was Jon Moxley and Hechicero for the Glorious Redemption, and then, yeah, like I said, Dirty Dom and Penta for the Glorious Redemption, and then that leads to the main event, right? The main event for WWE, ultimately, Monday Night Raw, was a promo between CM Punk and Roman Reigns, and the main event for AEW was this 6-man trios match of Adam Page and Jet Speed versus the Don Callis family. And I am going to give the win to WWE's main event because it was much better promo than the match that I saw on AEW. Like if I had to spend 15 minutes watching this promo or 15 minutes watching this match, I would have rather watched these guys talk trash for 15 minutes than to watch these guys fight for 15 minutes. But just because they won the main event in my book and in my opinion, I don't think they won this week. Like the 3 good matches that I got from AEW equivalent to what I saw through the entire course of Monday Night Raw. The only good thing on Monday Night Raw was that preview at the end, right? Like the main event, the secondary main event, the Intercontinental Belt, that was great match in ending. But ultimately, it was that promo between CM Punk and Roman Reigns, right? And unfortunately, as good of a match that Penta and Dom had, it wasn't as good as the 3 matches combined. Tekla's match, MJF's match, and then John Moxley's match, based on the crowd noise, right? What I heard. So, um, I've done this 3 weeks now. So this is the third week, third result. The first time it was AEW. The second time last week it was with AJ Styles' retirement. It was Monday Night Raw. This week it's AEW Dynamite. These guys seem to be going back and forth, in my opinion, but the overall feel of their shows are the same, right? Like, watch me grab this cat right now. Oh, you're making too much noise, buddy. You're making too much noise. Anyways, so now that AEW has this mild advantage, we'll see what happens this upcoming week. I would like to get these out by Thursday. I don't want to do them Wednesday because there are other people who put out content on Wednesday after these shows, and I want you battling over content, right? I give you the stuff the next day. I did run some, I did listen to JD from New York, right, in his opinion. I listened to Busted Open, and they gave their opinion. Busted Open, man, they got good. I like how they have people coming on and talking, right? I heard Bailey on there talking not too long ago. That was pretty cool. She was dropping some stuff. I hope she gets a WrestleMania match. She's cool. I like her. But if you liked this, then press like, share it with someone, but most importantly, subscribe, right? I need you to subscribe to Millennial Nation Worldwide on the Instagram. You just type in at Millennial Nation Worldwide, and it'll take you to my page. You view the channel and you hit subscribe. Boom, right? You get all the content. I'm looking to get 100 of you guys to join us. Once we get 100 of y'all, we're going to start going live. So definitely want to thank you again. I am the OG Millennial. In this show, we covered a lot of stuff. We covered some gas prices, and we covered where we're getting our gas in California from and why our refineries are leaving us here in California. We got some good information on Scrubs, right? The new reboot of Scrubs. I personally didn't like it, but I'd love to hear your opinion. And then we have the Raw versus Dynamite, right? This week, the winner, AEW Dynamite. Yeah, that's where we're going. We're going to go with the winners, AEW Dynamite. They're going to pull out the win this week. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. Again, this is Millennial Nation Worldwide. You're looking at the world through the eyes of this millennial. We want to bring everybody on board, not just millennials, but Gen X's, Gen Z's, baby boomers, Gen A's. We want all of y'all. Join the nation. Yeah. Thank you and